for tomorrow, Maria? Which campus? Convocation. Multicultural?
Oh, yeah. I'll check the date, make sure the time. What time is it?
Noon?
Noon? No.
5 o'clock.
What?
5 o'clock.
Okay, so be there by 4. Yeah.
Actually, it's 5:30.
I'm gonna check. I'm not listening to you.
It might be even 6.
You know what? You got me in trouble
Why?
because Joe always starts talking to me about being a boomer. We have this joke. Him and my sister and his sister and my cousin and so so what's the one to bring that up?
It's on the air now.
So Tatiana's back home right now. Yeah, she is, but she's called me twice.
Okay, we're going to start in 30 seconds.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Will you please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Over there. Here. He moved it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Taking the roll call, Luis Gonzalez,
Here.
Greg Taylor,
Here.
Maria Garcia,
Present.
Dr. Wade McLean,
Here.
and Teresa Riel. We're all present and accounted for. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that Pima Community College is on the original homelands of the Tohono O'odham people and the Pascua Yaqui, who have stewarded this land since time immemorial. The practice of acknowledging the land of these sovereign nations brings to the forefront their enduring connection to this land, regardless of historical and current colonization practices. Let's also acknowledge that we all benefit from these lands on which we work and learn. We encourage each of you today to learn about the land we inhabit, the tribal communities connected to this land, and the ways in which you can contribute to the restorative practices related to land and community. Thank you. Our first item, 1.5, is the report from the audit results for the fiscal year from our Arizona Auditor General. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Yes. Should it be up there too? Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. Perfect. Good evening, Board Chair, members of the Board, and Chancellor. I am Taryn Stengel. I'm with the Financial Audit Division within the Auditor General's Office, and I'm the Financial Audit Manager that did the district's audits. Joining me today is also Christian Conley. He was the lead audit senior on your 2023 audits. Thank you for having our office join your regular meeting today to present our audit results and findings to for the Pima County Community College District audit. It is great to see all of you again. So who are we? Just a reminder, before we discuss the audits, I want to make sure and refresh your memory on who the Arizona Auditor General's office is. The office is a legislative agency made up of nonpartisan staff. We provide impartial information and specific recommendations to help improve the operations and programs of the state and local government, which includes Pima County Community College District. We are well-versed and follow standards, specifically government auditing standards. And why are we here? We're similar to previous presentations to the board. We are here today in accordance with Arizona Revised Statute, Section 1473. It directs the district's governing board to require its auditors, the office, to present audit results and any findings in a regular scheduled meeting without the use of a consent agenda. And this needs to be completed within 90 days of the audit's completion. This is a great opportunity for us, your auditors, to be in front of you to provide information on our work and answer any questions that you may have. Before I begin, I would like to thank all of the district staff in assisting us throughout the audit. They were able to provide us all the documentation required to complete the audits on time and by our agreed upon dates, which was December 18th, 2023 for the financial statement audit and by March 31st, 2024 for the single audit. Today, we will be discussing the work of our 3 required annual reports: the district's annual financial comprehensive report, the report on internal control and noncompliance, and the federal single audit report. As we have done in the past, when these annual reports are issued, we send you an email that includes a link so you can go on and look at each of the reports. The financial statement report was dated December 18th. The report on internal controls and compliance on February 16th, you received that email. And then on March 21st, you received an email for the single audit report. The first one for the district annual comprehensive financial report presents the district's financial statements and our opinion on them. The objective of the audit is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from any material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud, and to issue that report, which includes our opinion. And again, it is wonderful to report that the district's financial statements for fiscal year 2023 reported an unmodified or a clean opinion, which means the district's financial statements are reliable. The second report is the report on internal control and compliance. This is where we report any financial statement findings and recommendations resulting from the financial statement audit. The report on internal control and noncompliance is where we reported 2 findings this year, and Christian will go over those findings with you shortly. Finally, the third and final report was the federal single audit report. This includes our assessments of the district's compliance over federal program requirements and whether internal controls over compliance with their federal programs were appropriate, and include also an opinion on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. The objective of that audit is similar, that it is to provide reasonable assurance about whether material noncompliance with the compliance requirements occurred and whether due to fraud or error. We are happy to say that there were no audit findings and we issued an unmodified or clean opinion. Now, I do want to remind you that reasonable assurance is a high but not an absolute level of assurance. Our audits are performed under government auditing standards and federal uniform guidance. It is no guarantee that we will always detect a material misstatement or noncompliance. Material means that a considerable likelihood that individually or in total, any misstatement or noncompliance would influence a reasonable person's judgment. Further, there's risks of not identifying material misstatements or noncompliance higher due to fraud if there were something similar to collusion. We did not identify any fraud, though, in your audits. Next, because we know that the reports can be really detailed and complex, when we send you the single audit report, we also send you a report highlight. It's a 2-page summary that you should have received that goes through the district's revenues, primary revenues, their primary sources, how the district used those monies over the last 10 years, as well as including any key findings and recommendations. I would like to take an opportunity to walk through some of the district's main highlights over the last year. For revenues, the district had 4 main revenue sources, and they continue to be the same over the last 5 years. These are property taxes, government grants and contracts, tuition and fees, and state assistance. And as you can see from the graph, the district's revenues from property taxes have steadily increased over the past 5 years. You can also see between fiscal year 22 and 23, there was a substantial decrease in government grants and contracts. This decrease was $43.3 million and was primarily the result of the Stabilization Fund grant monies. The district had received those monies because of the COVID-19 pandemic and primarily used the rest of those monies in fiscal year 22. And then tuition and fees and state assistance have relatively remained unchanged. The next graph has the primary expense purposes. And as you can see, the main expenses continue to be instruction, institutional support, and student services, and student financial aid. The district's instruction and student services expenses has increased since 2019. Institutional support expenses have increased by $22.7 million since 2019. Most of these increases occurred in fiscal years 22 and 23, primarily due to the district's increased payroll and software and licensing agreements with Train and its learning lab. Next, student financial aid line item has significantly decreased from fiscal year 22. Again, this is where you will see an effect from the Education Stabilization Fund program, where there were additional student grants that were issued to help students through the pandemic. And these grants were no longer available in 22, and that decrease was approximately $15 million. Overall, the district expenses did increase by nearly $15 million during the fiscal year. The next graph shows a presentation of both the revenues and the expenses compared to what the net position includes. And as you can see, the light blue represents the revenues and the dark blue represents the expenses. With the exception of this year, traditionally your revenues have exceeded your expenses. And this year, your revenues actually were less than your expenses by $11.4 million. Your total net position, which is the black line, shows the overall how the district is doing, which is $195.5 million as of June 30th, 2023. And although there was a decrease for the first time in the last 5 years, the overall net position compared to fiscal year 2019 has actually increased by $76.6 million, or 64%. Now, it is important for you to know that not all of that net position is considered spendable. There's $115.1 million that is a net investment in capital assets. In addition, the district has a restricted net position of $27.5 million, which is restricted for items such as debt service and any grant money that is left over. But finally, the unrestricted balance is $52.9 million. The last graph I have for you is the district's federal expenditures that are presented each year in the single audit report. And although the district does receive federal grants from 9 federal agencies during fiscal year 23, you can see that the majority of the dollars come from the U.S. Department of Education, similar to as it has in the last 5 years. You can also see that there's that substantial decrease that I mentioned earlier in federal expenditures in fiscal year 23 that was primarily due to the decrease in expenditures of the COVID-19 and emergency relief monies. The district used the last of the Educational Stabilization Fund grant monies in fiscal year 23, which was only expenditures of $171,000 versus a decrease of almost $43.4 million from the prior year. In fiscal year 22, we reported one finding over the Educational Stabilization Fund program, and I'd like to report that that finding has been corrected by the district. Finally, I'm going to turn it over to Christian, and he's going to walk through the next, he's going to walk through our 2 financial statement audit findings with you and the recommendations that we made. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those.
The report on internal control and on compliance is where you will find the 2 financial statement findings, along with the district's responses to them. The first financial statement finding we reported was that the district used its purchasing cards to spend $19,680 on food and beverages and entertainment at various events, which included 2 team building events, without complying with the district's policies and procedures, and lacked documentation on how these purchases were necessary to serve a public purpose and to benefit the district and its constituents. The district established a new policy in July of 2022 over food and beverage expenditures. However, the policy did not require documentation or explanation of the public purpose and specify how much was allowed to be spent per person or maximum amounts that may be spent on each type of activity or event. Further, there was no training on these new policies. All this resulted in an elevated risk of misuse of public monies and possible violation of the Arizona Constitution. To correct this finding, we recommend the district ensure purchasing card holders and designated authorizers follow district policies and procedures and use the purchasing cards only for authorized purposes that benefit the district and its constituents. If the district determines that it is appropriate to purchase food, beverages, and entertainment costs for events using public monies, it must evaluate and document how each purchase serves a public purpose and benefits the district and its constituents. Also, employees should obtain pre-approval on these types of purchases. We recommend the district improve its purchasing policies and procedures and train district employees and authorizers on these revised policies and procedures to 1, require documentation and support the public purpose and benefit of expenses for food, beverages, and entertainment, and the events for which they were purchased. 2, specify and define how much is allowed to be spent per person or the maximum amounts that may be spent on each type of activity or event. And 3, address the allowability of team building events. The district reported that it anticipates correcting this finding and implementing recommendations by December 31st, 2024. The second financial statement finding identified deficiencies in the district's control procedures over IT systems and data, which increases the risk that the district may not adequately protect those systems and data. To correct this finding, we recommend that the district make it a priority to complete the customization over restricting access to its IT systems and enhance authentication requirements for IT systems. The district reported that it anticipates correcting this finding and implementing recommendations by April 30th, 2024. This completes our presentation of the district's fiscal year 2023 audit reports, including the 2 reported financial statement findings. Are there any questions that we can answer for you concerning the district's audits?
I just have one question, that is, what question should I ask? I'm serious.
Madam Chair, member, I think that if it was me, I'd probably would ask what can we do to improve those policies and procedures over purchasing cards to make sure that we adequately document expenditures that somebody that is not aware of what the district's responsible for might question. And so that would be the question I would ask, is how are we going to change those? And I do think they have a plan to change them.
And did you find that the $19,000 that should have been spent in a different way was widespread, or was it a singular expenditure in a department?
There were multiple transactions through multiple departments. So I would say more widespread, but it was limited to a very specific food, beverages, some team building events.
Thank you.
I just want to also say, do you have a question, Maria?
When is the date that we need to complete to correct these issues? Do you have a time limit?
Madam Chair, member, I believe the recommendation, I believe they were going to correct it by December, you told me December 31st, 2024 is when they are going to correct it. A lot of times we may have a finding, and because of audit timing, it takes a little bit to correct it. So usually you should expect about a year.
I just wanted to say thank you. I know the Finance and Audit Committee got this same report before our last meeting, and so we talked about these things, and then we also saw both of you present recently, so thank you. Since that prior meeting, the Vice Chair and I were with the Chancellor, and we talked about both of these issues, and they definitely will be remediated, most likely even before those times. So thank you so much.
Of course, thank you. Is there any other questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And now we have call to the audience. 2 people registered. Ori Clifford.
Hello, distinguished leaders of Pima Community College. The second week of April each year, Pima Community College celebrates National Student Employment Week. This year we had a tabling and outreach events at 4 of the campus locations and the Student Employee of the Year celebration that occurred in the Azurite Room at the downtown campus. We are pleased to report that we had a successful turnout at the outreach events and that we had 13 departments that serve students table with us and provide resources to students who stop by. The Student Employee of the Year celebration hosted over 120 people. This year's celebration MC was Greg Wilson, and honorary speakers were Irene Robles Lopez and Marcy Euler. We had 2 student speakers, Hasia Lopez, who was a former Student Employee of the Year winner, and Micah Turpin, who was there to speak for his supervisor that he nominated. Additionally, we would like to give thanks to the faculty member Charles Wacker and the Advanced Manufacturing Club who created the trophies that were given to the nominees and the winners of the ceremony. If I may take a few moments now to share with you the names of the winners of the Student Employee of the Year awards. The Student Employee of the Year was Sam Sapanoff, who was nominated by Renee Forsyth at the West Campus. Sam spearheaded training with first-year Pima students and has a list of other accomplishments that were mentioned in their nomination. Additionally, we have special categories of winners that we would like to highlight. Kimberly Barncastle was chosen as the Veteran Student Employee of the Year. Cassandra Miranda was chosen as the Community Service winner. Dylan Geeden was chosen as the Critical Thinking winner. Melissa Sestiaga Durazo was chosen as the Diversity and Inclusion winner. Winona Ravenwood was chosen as a Leadership winner. And Faith Moses was chosen as the Technology and Innovation winner. Overall, we recognized 40 students for their accomplishments while working at Pima or outside of Pima doing community service work. Students also were able to nominate their supervisor, and this year, Jody Perrin, program manager at the Adult Basic Education Center, was chosen as Supervisor of the Year. Thank you for this time to recognize all the amazing accomplishments of these students and supervisors. I have sent an email to the board liaison so that you can review all of the names. Thank you.
Thank you, Ori. Our next speaker is Charles Wacker, the designer of the awards, I guess. Chuck was one of my students, weren't you?
Yes, finite math.
Yeah.
If you want to know about word problems, that's the class to take,
we call them word challenges.
where English meets math. Okay. Hello, Governing Board, Chancellor, and guests. I just wanted to talk about what I'm involved with, which is going on here. Basically, thank you for supporting our students and our programs, specifically machine tool technology. We've actually been a part of this college since 1970 and 71 initially. I've got too much time on my hands, so I've been going through the old course catalogs, looking for our history. We started as tool and machine technology, and after 2 years, we became machine tool technology. I've been with Pima, or involved with Pima since 1983 when I took a calculus class in high school. In 1999, I started as an adjunct. 2003, I earned my associates in art and general studies and machine tool in 2010. I became full-time in 2021, provisional in 2022, and now I'm full-time, cruising right along. MAC is doing really good. Machine tool technology, our enrollment's up. We've actually added an extra section for our metallurgy class to support the automotive and the welding students that come into that class. In 2021, during COVID, we had to pivot very hard. So we took the opportunity to convert all of our classes into a hybrid format, and everything basically is in D2L. That allows for most of our lectures to shrink in the actual classroom, more time on the machines, and with the less lecture, they're doing much better. We're aligning ourselves with industry and the University of Arizona to train the right skills with the right equipment. Current U of A Department of Energy partnerships includes IST, that's the Innovative Education for Solar Technicians and Engineers. We're going to have 4 summer interns working with me, developing solar ovens, solar power 3D printer evaluation. We will go to the JTED STEM summer program over at the Bridges. And we intend to possibly go to the Air Museum for the Night Wings events to highlight our 3D printer that runs on a battery and solar power. We might make some chocolate chip cookies with the solar ovens too. I'd like to thank Kate Schmidt and our provost, acting provost Jeff Thies, who's voluntold me to take the ACU, Effective Teaching Practices. Though that's not really aligned for CTE, for career and technical education, it has been immensely helpful for how I'm going about planning my classes here in the future. The Advanced Manufacturing Club does all kinds of things. We had a successful BattleBot event, holiday ornaments. We're working with Marcy from the Pima Foundation. We have a Santa Cruz Valley National Heritage Association partnership, and many other things. So thank you for all these opportunities.
Thank you, Chuck. Marcy with the Pima Community College Foundation update. Marcy Euler.
No, wrong one. I adore Vanessa, but I would do a bad job with her presentation. That's it, thank you. All right, thank you. Good evening, Chairperson Real, members of the Board of Governors, Interim Chancellor, and guests. I am here, as I always am, to tell you a little bit about what is happening at the Foundation. So, as I always do, I tell you that we are the philanthropic partner to Pima Community Colleges, supporting the students, faculty, and programs that are important to the institution and our region. We are actually going through a strategic planning process right now and are looking at our mission, vision, and goals, and those may be modified in the next few months as we complete that process, probably by the end of June. So the highlights, I think since last time I was here, we found out that the license plate, maybe I told you this already, the license plate actually got signed into law. Sorry, I get a little confused with which story I've told to which group, because I do a similar thing for our board as well. So it's still signed into law as far as I know, and we're trying to figure out what the rules are for us to submit the artwork. We had Pima night at the Roadrunners game. We actually raised about $1,000 during that event from ticket sales and jerseys. And you can see the picture on the right. It recognized both the college and the foundation, and they won. So that was really nice. NC3 Signing Day, the National Signing Day and Focus on Your Future. There were over 500 students. Dean Jim Craig was the MC. There were over 500 students, and we had the privilege of handing out 8 $500 scholarships, so $4,000 were dispersed, and we also had a luncheon for the VIPs who were sponsors and people that we were hoping to expose to that event. There's actually a video in here if you guys want to watch it on your own. I'm not going to show you. But it was to wave at Roger Tajewski from the whole group, which was kind of a fun video. As Ari said, the Student Employee of the Year session meeting that they held, I was a student employee, a federal work study employee when I went to Montana State, so that program is really near and dear to my heart, and I think for the last 3 or 4 years I've had an opportunity to speak to that group, and it's one of the favorite things that I get to do, because I wouldn't be standing here right now had it not been for that experience at Montana State. I attended the Sun Corridor site selection presentation, and that was really instructive. Pima definitely made a very positive impression on that group. We also have a donor who is interested in starting something similar to what they do at the U of A, which is a Wildcat Heroes Award. They're looking at potentially starting a Pima Heroes Award, which really is around students who give their time to volunteer efforts at the same time that they're enrolled in classes. So we're trying to see how we might be able to incorporate something along those lines here at the college. Pima, the Pima Foundation is one of the sponsors for Greater Tucson Leadership's Tucson Youth Leadership Academy. This group of students in the spring was from Catalina High School, and there were 23 of them. We give each one of the students that graduates a certificate to use toward coursework at Pima, and hopefully they will do that. They could be freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or seniors, and so we are trying to encourage them to enroll either in summer or in the fall when they finish, and I have the privilege of being able to speak to that group, and their keynote speaker was Dustin Williams, so you can see the balloons. There's also a video there I won't show you, and then Dustin was their keynote. And then Isaac was a speaker for a group that I'm in, Women Leading Southern Arizona, talking about AI. Really, I think, helped calm some of the nerves of some of the people that are in the group, knowing that AI is not coming to take everybody's job. So that was very positive. And then other highlights are written here. We are very busy with some other things that are coming up as well. We are actually planning something in June for financial advisors and estate planners to help them understand how Pima Foundation can help give options to their clientele who may be interested in making gifts to the foundation, planned gifts or outright gifts. And so that will be happening in June, as well as renovation event that we're working on the details now around the building and construction technology, Science and Technology West building at downtown campus. We'll get you more details. We're still planning both of those. As of March 31st, you can see our portfolio is at about $16 million. I'm afraid probably after April it fell a little bit because the market went down a tad, but our endowed funds have risen to $19.15 million. Through March 31st, $467,000 in scholarships were awarded. That includes over 180 that we gave out in spring term alone. And in total, we had about 580 students who received scholarship dollars so far this fiscal year. And then we have spent about $900,000 on different programs across the institution and anticipate probably having another million or so before the end of June. We've had a few staffing changes. So Lance Jones, who was our Director of Philanthropy, has left and is pursuing other interests. Diana Cannon is our Director of Transformational Philanthropy, and she has jumped full bore into that role and is doing great. And we're working on creating a position to assist her in her role. And we hired a bookkeeper / admin assistant who actually is graduating from Pima on May 22nd, and is, her name is Cassandra, and we will have her picture on the thing shortly, but she came into the office with all of her paperwork today, so I feel like I can tell you that is official. And Savannah Franco, who is also a Pima grad, has added some additional responsibilities in our office. So here is our team. We will be adding one probably in June. We'll have her added to our little photo gallery here. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Our next update, sorry, I was trying to see where I was. The Chancellor Search update with Tina and Michaela.
Good evening. I am Michaela Hayes. I think you might know that. We are here to update you on the timeline and a few specifics for the Chancellor Search. So as you can see by the dates on the screen, maybe, I'll read them if you can't. We have completed our review of candidates individually, and tomorrow we are going to meet to select the candidates to move forward to interview. On May 28th and 29th, we will have virtual interviews with the people that we select tomorrow. And the Anthem will be working with the governing board one of those evenings on the 28th, I believe, to come up with questions of what we want to ask the finalists. The big exciting one is June 10th through 14th, we will have on-site interviews. And I'm gonna give it to Tina to talk a little bit more about some of the specifics, and then we can answer your questions.
Good evening, everyone. So one of the things I know everybody probably wants to know is this a good candidate pool? The answer is yes. According to Anthem, as long as we had 15 plus candidates in the pool, and we have more than that. So yay, yes. I can't share any more information than that because we promised all the candidates we wouldn't share any information until the 4 finalists were announced. So just so we all remember confidentiality, I just want to remind us about that. And the other big thing for us to be on the lookout for, all of us in the room, is that we are holding the dates of June 10th through the 14th for on-site interviews. There is a board meeting on Wednesday in the middle there, but if you want to hold Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 5:30 to 6:30, there will be public forums here as long as we bring 4 candidates to campus. I'm working on all the other details, such as campus visits, meetings with, various groups around the college. So people will start hearing from me very soon about holding times. The board already got that from Andrea. So you already have holds. The rest of the college will start hearing more details. Any questions?
I'm sorry. Anyway, are you reaching out to the media to inform them so that maybe they could publicize this? I don't know if you want to, but.
I will be working with Phil Burdick to figure out how to advertise the public forums, but this is the first time. And remember, they're just holds because until we actually have, we go through all of May, we won't know how many candidates will be coming to campus.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's going well so far.
Thank you both for all your hard work. I know that list is long, and I know you've been doing a lot of work, so we definitely appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Okay, now it's our turn to speak. Luis, do you have any board member comments you'd like to share with everybody?
I'm going to have to pass today.
Thank you, Luis. Greg Taylor?
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago, but I don't think I've done one, at least not one that I can recall since, or at least for me, since I was at the Higher Learning Commission conference. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts. That was the first time I had a chance to attend that particular event, and there were certainly a number of themes that came out of the sessions that I was involved in, and a few that I thought were particularly interesting were a lot of colleges across the country looking to have programs that specifically target older adults to bring them in, and especially as we know coming into the future, the demographic reality of fewer traditional community college age students graduating out of high school. So the ability to expand into the much larger older adult population and have coursework or certificates or whatever it might be that is of particular interest to them. I thought that was an interesting idea. And there was a lot of discussion about community colleges, and certainly Pima's done a lot of work in this realm too, becoming more and more social service hubs for their students, not only around addressing food security and a myriad of other student services as Pima does, but also a lot of discussion around housing and the issues of affordable housing that are pervasive across the country, and a lot of community colleges stepping up to provide more. I know Pima doesn't do housing currently, but others are providing more. I thought that was interesting that that's a trend. I know we've been talking about that with childcare and with some of the other social services that I've been providing here. I thought it was interesting that that was a common experience in other institutions as well. And then there was a lot of discussion about student debt and value and making sure that whatever it is that we as Pima College or as our peer institutions across the country need to charge to cover those expenses, to making sure that A, it's a reasonable amount, but B, that it produces value for those students so they don't find themselves in a position where they're taking on debt and not able to then move into a career where they can pay off that debt. And so I appreciated how much care and consciousness there was being talked about generating that value, and it's certainly something that we've talked about here. So it was a very positive experience. I'm glad I got a chance to participate. Just wanted to share a few takeaways.
Maria Garcia?
I just wanted to mention something. We had a retreat where a lot of the leadership team and some of the staff members attended at the Desert Vista campus. The culinary program is great. They provided us with great food. But with that as well, it's what I really appreciated is the fact that everybody that participated, and, you know, the college is going in a new direction. And I hope that everyone embraces the change, because we're trying to make it a better place and better serve our community. And it takes each and every one of you and us to accomplish that. So please be open-minded. Know that what we're trying to accomplish is what's in the best interest of yourselves as well as the community. Thank you.
Dr. Wade McLean?
I'd like to congratulate Ken Hockamy on becoming our new athletic director, housed at the West Campus, and understand that he has deep roots in this community, and we look forward to positive things happening to our student athletes. And on a side note, Aubrey has guaranteed a national championship for next year.
Thank you. It's been another busy month, but some of the highlights, first of all, I want to say it's Faculty Appreciation Week this week, and I really do value all of you. As I look around here, most everybody either is or was some sort of teacher instructor at some time. So thank you for doing all you've done over the years for our students, and you really truthfully are what makes Pima College this amazing place to attend, right? Our students could take online classes anywhere else in the world, and they chose to be with you, so thank you for doing what you're doing. We attended the Sun Corridor site selector. Thank you, Dr. Ian Rourke, for the invite that the board could attend. One thing that really struck me and Dr. McLean, both we talked about this, is that Pima College really is positioned to be a leader in everything that happens in this community. Economic development, everything like that. Pima, we're just placed right in the perfect place, the perfect time to do all of this amazing stuff. So what Maria talked about, changing this new path, it might not be changing drastically in all areas, but just the areas that we were beginning and working on, we're going to improve those too. So it's a great, fun time to be at the college. One other thing, oh yeah, I went to the downtown campus actually to do their Fall Forward student services day. It was a Saturday, and I could not find a place to park. I drove all over. I ended up parking quite a far way away, and then I had to walk through this beautiful car show, another thing that Pima College and the foundation, I believe, put on. And then as I'm walking through the advanced manufacturing building, Greg Wilson is giving a tour. I can never pass up one of those tours because that building is so amazing. When I get off the board, I am definitely going to go back to school and learn something new and cool. And then I finally did make it over to the east side of the campus where the tutoring and walked around. David gave me a great tour and showed me everything that they were doing, which I definitely appreciated his time and energy on that. And then as I was walking out, I ran into the vice president, Nina Corson, at the campus, and she told me that everybody that was there was volunteering their time. And so I got a list from her that had, I think it was at least 4 dozen people, but maybe more on it, of different employees and different groups. I don't think only from your campus, but from maybe numerous campuses. So all week long, I've been trying to think of how do I say thank you for going above and beyond? And I guess just to say thank you for going above and beyond. Being a strong union member, I don't really want to encourage anybody to work for free on a regular habit, but it did make me so proud to know all of you doing all these great things for our students and for the community. So it's been a great month, and next Wednesday we're going to have the culmination of another great year with graduation. I hope to see many of you at the graduation. And once again, thank you to all the faculty for doing all you do. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Pima Mission Moments. Thank you, ladies.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Real, members of the board, Chancellor, colleagues, and guests. It is our pleasure and honor to be able to present to you this month's mission moment on cultivating excelencia. We firsthand know the impact and transformation that occurs when somebody earns at higher education, not only for the student themselves, but also for their families. We here at Pima have had a long-standing Hispanic Serving Institution designation through the Department of Education. However, that designation doesn't say anything about the way that we need to serve students or even any accountability measures such as completion, transfer. We here at Pima are inching closer and closer to that 50% mark in terms of serving students that identify as being Hispanic Latino. In the fall of 2023, we hit 48.6% of our students that identified as Hispanic Latino. So Pima is strategically moving beyond that enrollment status and really focusing on outcomes such as completion, transfer, and preparing our students for those competitive jobs that require mid to high level skills that lead to good wages. That has been our foundation for our partnership with Excelencia, a renowned organization that is focused on accelerating student success through an equity lens. And Jennifer Madrid and I have been collaborating with our teams alongside the First Generation initiative as well, and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague here.
Do we need to do that?
The First Generation Student Initiative is a comprehensive support system tailored specifically for students who are the first in their families to pursue higher education. One example is the Cultivating Excelencia workshop that was hosted at Desert Vista campus in April for first-gen students and families. The workshop curriculum incorporated discussions on cultural and social capital and Dr. Yoso's community cultural wealth model, framing first-gen identity through an asset-based perspective. The sharing of personal testimonials and table conversations took place. Staff shared with students and families what support can look like and tips for success while creating a sense of belonging for students and their families. Bilingual staff were available to assist families who were non-English speaking, and financial aid staff were also available to assist students with their FAFSA. On the slide, you can see a positive comment and feedback from a student who attended that workshop. I'd like to share additional highlights from our First Gen initiative. We celebrate National First Generation Celebration Day every year on November 8th. We were awarded a grant from NASPA Center for First Generation Student Success to sponsor our campus celebration day. And we awarded 4 tuition scholarships to first-gen students thanks to our strong partnership and support from Marcy Euler and the Pima Foundation and Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So in terms of next steps, we are going to have a comprehensive analysis and really dig into our data through the Seal of Excelencia. We're going to be focusing in on our data and responding to those inequities and looking at our practices, policies, and programs that we can innovate, scale, and diffuse to catalyze student success. And I'm happy to share that we were just informed that Pima became a NASPA First Scholars Network member. The First Scholars Network offers a national model for scaling holistic first-generation student success by engaging and empowering higher education institutions to transform the first-generation student experience, advance academic and co-curricular outcomes, and build more inclusive institutional structures. Last, we are partnering with University of Arizona and Northern Arizona University to leverage resources and expertise in providing comprehensive support and opportunities for Latino and minority students to improve transfer rates and the transfer experience. The goal is to provide a seamless transition for students as they transition from one institution to another. At the heart of the initiative lies a vibrant and passionate community of like-minded first-generation staff, dedicated to fostering an inclusive environment where first-generation students can thrive. This initiative would not be possible without the members of our First Gen work group and volunteers, consisting of representation from Student Affairs, Student Life, TRIO, and Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. We express our sincerest appreciation to Dr. Irene Lopez, our Vice Chancellor for Student Experience, and Dr. Suzanne Desjardins, our Vice President of Student Affairs. We would also like to thank Dr. Brian Stewart, Campus VP and Chief Cultural Impact Officer, Dr. Jeff Thies, Acting Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Ken Chavez, Dean of Communication, and last but not least, our Interim Chancellor, Dr. Dolores Duran Cerda. We would like to end our presentation of Pima's Mission Moment by sharing a short video of testimonials shared during our First Generation College celebration last November. Special thank you to Tom Casey and PCC TV for their work in creating this inspirational video. Thank you.
I'm a first semester nursing student right now. My whole life I've wanted to study this, so I'm really happy that I made it to the program.
It's special because, for example, my mom, she only graduated high school. My dad only went to middle school.
2 of my grandparents didn't finish first grade and 1 didn't even go to school. So it's super important for me to be able to go where they couldn't go.
My mom, she worked really hard to help us understand the value of an education.
I feel a really strong sense of accountability, not only for myself, but for my entire family, for my children.
It means everything. I'm very aware of the fact that my family has sacrificed so much
for me in my life. This is important to me because I'm a first-generation college student. I hope that people come here today to celebrate being a first-generation college student, that they share their stories, and that they take advantage of the resources that we're sharing.
I used the dual enrollment program. That was my kind of step into the whole college atmosphere.
The main resource I've used a lot was my advisors, what classes I need to register for, what different pathways I can take.
I've learned to be more goal-oriented. I've learned to be more determined.
I just want first-gen students to know that we are so happy they're here, and to please share your story as much as you can.
I love everything that the community college has done for me, my confidence, my study habits, the fact that I have a degree and I'm the first one in my family to get one. I bawled at my graduation last May, just knowing that I did something that they couldn't do.
So we'd now like to answer any questions the board has.
I don't have any questions. I have some comments. I like the what your presentation that you just did. First generation proud. Orgullo de la primera generación. In fact, I just want to share with the public here too is that back in early 80s, myself, I was the first one in my immediate family to even go to college as well too. And since day one back then, so many years ago, I've always been promoting that. I think it's great that we have this being advocated by you guys, and I think it's marvelous in reference to what I hear. But more important, I think in reference to those numbers that are advancing, I think it's great. It's super great, and I think it has to have, I like the video. In fact, on the way over here, today's a day to acknowledge all the Nursing Students Day. So happy Nursing Students Day and all the nursing individuals that are out there. I also have a daughter that came to Pima that is a nursing graduate, and it's at El Rio Center on Irvington as well too. So it's hit home when it was that day today. The other thing that I just wanted to share is, like I mentioned, very proud in reference to this program, but I also just wanted to share a little bit of this proud day when I was coming today for the meeting. Today is my heavenly birthday of my mom too. So she was born May 8th as well too, many years ago. I miss her, but I think it's something that I always celebrate. I know in the village where I come from, and in fact, there was an important individual, Governor Hobbs was there too at Pascuayakis today. So that was a big thing. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, had other obligations and commitments, but I think it's something that the day of May 8th was very significant for me today, especially coming here tonight and really hearing the proud moments in reference to what we have. I just wanted to also come in reference to the gathering that we have our faculty and staff last weekend as well too. I think it went very good. I think the people that attended saw and they shared in reference to some of the positive stuff that they're looking at that are happening. But more important, I think it's a good time to come together, to really know each other, especially when we had the roundtable activities. I think it was good. But I also had a little time in reference to we had a break. I did walk to the bookstore, but also walked to the culinary place. I met a young individual that's going to be graduating on the 17th from the culinary school, and his name was Ricardo Garcia. He's a member from the Atom Nation, and he said, I really want you to attend, so that's my commitment to him. But I think, as mentioned before, Pima has really has done a lot to the communities. And that's what Pima is for. It's in the operative word that we all know here is community. Thank you again, not only for the students and staff, but thank you on behalf of the community as well, too. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
So it was just one day that you did the Excellencia in education, right?
So we've been working on this initiative since July, but it is the first time that we have brought families and students that in a fully bilingual program, and we brought in the families in the broadest sense. Some people brought mentors, sisters, brothers, but it's the first time that we have had a Cultivating Excelencia workshop. We do plan to have more starting this summer.
Great, that's what I was going to ask, and are you planning to do more? Okay, it looked fabulous, and if you need any help from us, let us know. We'll stand there and greet people or anything.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our reports, the administration reports, and first up, I guess, is David Donderwitz with the executive summary for fall enrollment. Oh, okay, I wasn't sure if he was here. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you. And we do have some good news to report regarding enrollment. As you know, there's two sides of the enrollment puzzle. One is student recruitment. The other one is retention. I will tell you, so from the numbers today, spring enrollment is up about 6%. Summer enrollment so far is up about 8%. And despite all the issues with FAFSA that you're going to hear about in a second, our fall enrollment is up about 6%. In the enrollment report that was sent to you late last week, I believe, the other good news is that our student applications are up significantly. As of today, our fall application numbers are up about 17%. That's a really key number for us because that's really our key ROI number for our marketing spend. So, you know, our marketing is designed to generate those applications, and we like to see those strong applications, especially early, and especially with all of the issues that students are having with FAFSA. And so for that, let me turn it over to David Donderwitz.
Hello. Good evening, Board of Governors, Chancellor, and guest. I would just like to kind of give a little update on the 24-25 FAFSA cycle that's currently going on. So comparing those numbers to last year's numbers at this point in time, we've currently received about 10,000 FAFSA applications, and about 6,900 of those applicants are eligible for Pell Grant. So those numbers compared to last year, we're down about 8% in regard to applications, so FAFSA applications. And we're also down about 18% in Pell eligible students. That's probably the number that we'd probably look at a little bit more. But due to the updates with the form this year, we have increased our outreach events, our events on the campus in regard to filling out the FAFSA. Our communication has increased. We have a communication plan with the changes. And this has all been in place since about February 1st. And since that date, we've been averaging about 3,300 FAFSA applications a month for the 24-25 year. Some of the issues that Phil was referring to really do affect our students, and I think that kind of shows the issue that we're seeing with the 18% fewer Pell eligible students. And the first one is there is a temporary fix that's been put out by the Department of Education, which allows students and their contributors, so their parents or spouse, to manually enter their tax information onto the FAFSA, and it bypasses the identity verification portion. However, with that temporary fix, it's not a fix that's actually in place to solve the issue in the long haul. So basically, the students in that scenario, their parents, their spouses are manually putting that information into the FAFSA, which basically creates other confusion on the form, as there's no longer indicators of what line on your tax item that number came from and so forth. The other issues that we are seeing is we have seen a lot of dependent students. They're answering questions in regard to their parents and basically stating that they're inadvertently stating that they are independent students. However, they're classified as dependent. The last thing that we're seeing is students can go in and update their FAFSA forms. However, there's issues with those corrections as they go in to do those. And lastly, the school or all institutions across the nation are unable to submit corrections to the Department of Education at this time. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be able to do that. Our next steps moving forward, we've currently taken the FAFSA applications. We're loading them into our student information system with the hopes to get offer letters out to our students as early as next week. And then from there, we're going to look at that information to begin our targeted outreach campaigns to students that completed the 23-24 FAFSA, but they haven't done this year's, newly admitted students who haven't completed the FAFSA, and then work with our students who have completed the 24-25 FAFSA, but there might be a mistake or something of that sort that we can help guide that student to make that correction. The last thing is we do have an event on June 1st. We're partnering with ABOR and other institutions in the city. And we're going to have a FAFSA event at the downtown campus from 10 to 2. So I'll open it up if you have any questions for me.
I have a real quick one. So, and you might not be able to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Okay, so if they're not able to complete the FAFSA and they don't get funded, but that application is still active, I mean, they still submitted it, and there's corrections that need to be made. Is there any way that they can make it retroactive to pay the college for the classes that the students already took or get a refund? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, so there's certain things in place. So when the student fills out the FAFSA for the 24-25 year, it'll be for the entire academic year that's 24-25. So let's say a student fills out their application and it gets completed midway through the fall semester. Well, we would pay for that retroactively, those terms and those courses that are eligible for the program of study. So we would be able to disperse the aid retroactively for that semester.
And then we need to ensure that we get the money back, right?
Yeah. Oh, we will get the money back. The
Okay.
first thing it pays for is tuition and fees.
Two questions. One is, the first one is going to be coming back to the FAFSA. Is there a certain percentage that are young people that once they fill out and they get the Pell Grant, how many of those students receive the full amount?
So I can't give you the exact number of the full-time students.
Or what has been the trend? That's what
Yeah,
I
most of our students at the institution are part-time enrolled, so they're not enrolled in 12 or more credits, so they are receiving a portion of the Pell Grant for each semester.
And the second question was in reference to the dual enrollment. I know that we're going to be passing the new core classes that we're going to be the Pima is going to be providing for dual enrollment. My question is, are those classes that are going to be offered, are they offered at all the sites? Just a couple of particular ones.
I would have to defer that question. I'm unsure.
So you're asking about dual enrollment classes? If they're offered at all sites? All of the sites that are approved by the HLC, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, I think I asked the question last time. Let me clarify a little bit more. In reference to the high schools, do all the high schools are eligible for, or what I'm trying to say, are the classes offered at all the high schools that are doing the dual enrollment?
There are, yes, but we have to be careful. If we offer more than 50%, then it's considered, we have to get approval from the Higher Learning Commission. but we do offer a little bit at each of the high schools. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll come down to quickly answer that question. So in regards to dual enrollment, the course offerings that are listed, so it varies at each institution. So as the chancellor listed, we cannot exceed 50% of a certificate or degree at a non-approved location until we get approval from HLC. But from that course list, it varies at each high school depending on their instructional staff. Because the dual enrollment teachers are at the high schools, and then they're on a contract with Pima as well, and certified through our faculty certification office. So that the courses do vary at each site.
Thank you, Melissa. Our next report is Student Retention and Success with Jeff Teese and Irene Robles Lopez. Come on down.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board members, Interim Chancellor Duran Cerda, colleagues and guests. Irene and I are here to talk a little bit about the other R. Phil gets them in here through recruitment measures. We are focused on keeping them here once we get them here, so that's our retention measures. And so I'd just like to send some kudos out to the faculty and the administrative staff that supports those faculty, department heads, and deans. When the chancellor goal for increasing enrollment was out in August, I think about that time, we were confident that the work that those folks had been doing over the past year, diving into the data with respect to courses and programs, working on opportunities for them to improve their teaching strategies, working on the curriculum, working on opportunities to partner with student affairs, embedding coaches, tutors, et cetera. So we were pretty confident we would already see some progress in what we call leading indicators in this first fall, right? And so that's what you're going to see is a few of the leading indicators in the results from fall of 23. So two that we're going to focus on, the productive grade rates. That's the percent of A's, B's, and C's that are earned, right? So that's what we're referencing when we say productive grade rates. And persistence for us is they attended in the fall and they had such a great experience, they made sure they came back in the spring, right? Those are both leading indicators to retention because they're things that would happen that would guide a student to be more likely to retain and come back the next fall. And then that last one is just to recognize that we also dig into the data on specific parts of other data to make sure that we're improving the student experience across all programs. All right, so just to give you an idea, productive grades, so we have about 49,500 grades in a fall semester. So it's a big N, so I don't put the N on here because it's so large, but that's the number of grades we're referencing. So as you can see on this slide, when we look at all students, the percent of A's, B's, and C's earned over time is between 70 and 73%. Our goal was to take that fall 2022 number of 71.5 and bump it up by 1.5 percentage points. Right, that was our goal for fall of 2023. And so as you can see, we did that. We actually surpassed that by an extra 0.8. So we're talking about an extra 900 to 1,000 grades that were A's, B's, and C's instead of the other. As you heard from the group before in the mission moment, Vanessa and Jen talked about the excellency in education, our institutional targets, et cetera. Our Hispanic Latinx is now the largest student population when you break it down by race and ethnicity, and has been for a couple of years. So we also had a specific target for that group because we always like to disaggregate our data. This particular group increased significantly as well by 2.1 percentage points, so another large N. We're talking about 25,000 grades here. We didn't quite hit our high water mark, but you will notice that we actually were aiming a little higher than on the all. And that's to help shrink our equity gap. We're trying to get that group to be within 3 percentage points of the overall. So great job there, especially if you go fall 23 and you look backwards. We've actually surpassed our high water mark of fall 19 of 70.3. So there's some positive things out of that. We also realize we can continue to do more with culturally responsive pedagogy, culturally relevant curriculum, and things like that to improve the experience for our Hispanic and Latinx student population. Persistence, fall to spring, so they come back in the spring after attending in the fall. Again, hit our target, increasing by over the 1.5 percentage points we were aiming for, and really close to that fall 2019 mark as well. So here we're talking about 17,500 students, right? That's the total in, so almost 2/3 of them persisting. Is that great? No. Right? We want to keep moving that up. We want that needle to keep climbing, going from fall 20, where we know there were challenges in fall 20, to continuing to increase that number, climbing out of the 60s and into the 70s over the next couple of years. Same data, again, broken down this time by the Hispanic Latinx student population. Hit our mark, matched our fall 19, or within 0.1 of matching our fall 19. So again, continuous great work on the part of faculty, their administrative support, our support of them continuing to be able to learn and shift the student experience in the classroom. And this last one I just bring to your attention as something else that this is another way to disaggregate the data. So A's, B's, and C's, productive grade rates are great, right? That's one way to be thinking things are moving. But we also have to dig deeper, and so this is a look at A's. And why would we just look at A's? Well, A's lead to higher GPAs. Higher GPAs lead to getting access to selective programs at the next level or even at our own institution. It also leads to scholarships, right? So we want to be able to take a look in what is the student experience, right? With an asset-based approach, we want to be thinking about how is it that one group may not have the same proportion of earned A's as other groups. And so we have that conversation and continue to dig. The nice thing in fall 23 is all 4 groups that are listed here all improved from fall 22, right? That's the positive. The challenge is that gap remains about the same, right? And so what is it that we can continue to be doing to go back to Vanessa's comment about being a Hispanic serving institution and making sure that we're serving? And when we say that with the Hispanic Latinx, of course, we mean that with the much smaller populations of students that are listed here as well, and that's our Hispanic, or our Black African American population and our Native American population as well. Those groups are much smaller. The Native American population had about 800 grades in the data set, and the Black African American was about 2,500. Okay, significantly smaller than the 49,000 and the 25,000 I was talking about earlier. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Irene.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. So as we know, retention really requires effective collaboration between both the academic area and the student support areas as well. And so with that, we've been working very closely with Jeff Tees and all of the academic team, as that is part of the Chancellor goals as we're looking at retention. What happens for the students, their student experience in the classroom, as well as the support outside of the classroom that is offered to them. And so one of the things I'd actually like to start with the data point at the bottom, the Student Experience Data Summit. So we always function and look ahead, and we're working off of a continuous improvement model. So it is important to look at the data, look at where we're at now, where are those gaps, as Dr. Tees just mentioned, and where is there opportunity for improvement. So on the 26th, we did have 75 folks from across the college. These were faculty members, administrators, staff that attended. We shared all of our data, and I'd be more than happy to provide that to you as well, on where we're at right now in all of the various areas that provide provide support to students. So that would include our libraries, our learning centers, our student success coaches, advising, counseling, student engagement. We know that all of those combined with the experience in the classroom really helps to create that sense of belonging and support for students, and that's exactly what we are hoping to do. And so with that, again, we are looking at both quantitative and qualitative data to continue to look forward and look at what our colleagues are sharing, that different ideas that maybe we are not doing at this time, but then also the student voices and what they are sharing with us as well. So that turned out to be a very positive event. We received very positive feedback from everyone that was involved, and that really lays the framework for where we will be moving in this next strategic plan, as well as even in our strategic enrollment management plan and the goals that we have there. And so as you all had an opportunity to see, you did see the mission moment with our First Gen Student Initiative. So that's a new initiative that we just started in 2023. So we are looking at what are we doing for students now, but where are those opportunities to better engage students and to make them feel like they belong here. And so as you saw with many of the testimonies, it is challenging for our first generation students because you don't have the context for how does college work, who can I go to for advice. So that's really where those relationships with faculty members in the classroom, with their advisor, with their counselor, with their success coach really becomes key in helping students navigate through their educational journey. So as I mentioned, we also have an equity and retention work group, which is actually led by our acting Dean of College Readiness and Student Success, Jackie Allen. And so she is working with a group of faculty members, other staff, other administrators to look at where are those opportunities also for retention. And this was work that was started back when Jeff Tees was in his home role, and that was in partnership with the Gardner Institute. And so right now what they are looking at is how we can better support our part-time students. We know that the majority of our students are part-time, and so it really is key to make sure that we are looking at how can we better support them, how can we make sure that we are offering services, and then as well as course schedules that are going to meet their needs. Of course, we have advising and counseling, student engagement, student success coaching. We also have our Men of Color initiative right now, our Men of Color Achievement Program initiative, and it's in a pilot phase to see where things are going. They actually just had their end of semester celebration on Monday evening. And so again, very positive feedback from students. They actually connected very much with folks that were leading that work and leading that team, as well as making connections with each other, which is really key and really what we want them to do is to connect with one another so they find those support systems. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is that everything that Dr. Jeff Tees has talked about and all of the excellent work that is happening with our academic colleagues, as well as coupled with everything that is happening in student support, this really lays the framework for the direction that we want to move in, as well as the other key aspect, which is the culture of care. And so we also have that as another piece that is moving forward under the Chancellor goals that we will continue to work on, will also be part of the strategic plan in one form or another. And so that really is key, is keeping the student at the center of the experience and everything that we're doing, knowing that we are doing it for them and for their success. And as we heard some of the testimonies from the students, these were our first generation students, but I'm sure if we were to sample, students at our graduation, which will be coming up in a few weeks, we would hear many of those same stories about how impactful the college has been, how really life-changing it is. And so it really is an honor to be a part of this college and to do the work that we do, because they are entrusting us in helping them reach those goals. And so it's something that we're very proud of. And as you can see, Jeff and I and our teams collaborate very well. And so it's just a really good place to be. And we're excited about moving forward. And as Board Member Garcia mentioned, change, it can be scary, it can be difficult, but can also be very exciting because we know that we're moving forward and looking at putting in new initiatives and new things to better support our students and our community. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I want to thank you all. every single one of you for the effort that you're putting in, for the data collection. I have been wanting this type of presentation for a long time. You guys have accomplished so much within this last year, and I sincerely want to thank you for the direction that you guys are taking, and I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of things I just want to say. Faculty and staff, we want to make sure that everybody gets raises this year. It's a super important thing that this board has, we want to make sure that that happens. But every single employee at this college, if we could all do just a little bit more in retention to make sure that students, when they walk by and they look like they're upset, say, hey, I don't know what you would say, but just wing it, right? Do something, right? The research says that part-time students are less successful than full-time students. So, maybe those students who are almost taking full-time, let's encourage them, hey, you can get more Pell Grants if you go full-time. I mean, whatever we can do to make sure that they're more successful. And then the whole thing about A's, B's, and C's, when I was teaching, I always told my students that a C, if you strive for the A and you don't get it, you still get a B. But if you strive for a C and you don't get it, you don't get the credit for the class, right? And I think that a lot of times our students, especially if they're coming from high schools, they've been told that over and over, you just need a C, but that's baloney, right? If you want to do well in the next class, strive for a high B at least. And then my last thing I wanted just to mention was, oh, my computer just died. Well, I can't tell you about it now, but within the last month, we got graphs from the enrollments, the fill rate of classes, and there was a third one. I guess it was FTSE, those three, since the days before or after the beginning of the semester. And the enrollment, you can't really tell exactly the numbers. You sort of have to eyeball it. But it was like 8,000 enrollments less from the beginning of the semester, this semester, through day 80, I guess it was. So it was toward the beginning of the semester. My thought there is, what could we as a college do? You don't have to answer this now, just be thinking about this. Is there something STAR could do that, the computers know who those students are who dropped out, right? Is there any way that we can reach them in a timely manner and say, hey, we've missed you in class, what happened? What can we do? Can we help you? Whatever. Because if we had those 8,000 students, that's more tuition money, right? And then if they're successful this semester, it's more tuition next semester, and all of that helps the college run. So I'm going to agree with Maria. Thank you for doing all that you do. But remember, it's every one of our jobs, whether you're the board chair or whether you're a vice president, when you see somebody and lift them up, help them out, that whole persistence retention thing is as important as getting them enrolled. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, our next, Wendy Weeks, is that right? Okay, Ari and Melissa, thank you. Our HLC federal compliance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, governing board members, for inviting us today to provide an HLC update, and we will try to keep our presentation brief. So the HLC Federal Compliance Team, with the assistance of several others in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Department, gathered the initial evidence for Pima's HLC Federal Compliance filing. We submitted our draft narrative and evidence to the institution's HLC consultant, Sandy Veltri, for review, and the draft was posted on the pima.edu website for public comment. We have revised the draft based on feedback received, and our executive summary includes information on the 8 policies related to federal regulations that HLC will review during our reaffirmation visit, along with an overall demonstration of administrative capability to ensure the institution is meeting our Title IV responsibilities and not engaging in any fraud or abuse. We have included in our executive summary a status report in advance of today's meetings with the types of evidence collected and the work that is still in progress at the college by various task force and committees for continuous improvement to close any identified gaps. Overall, a great deal of progress has been made at the college on many of the HLC compliance review areas. We also wanted to announce that the complete assurance argument draft has been posted online right now on the pima.edu accreditation page for public comment and feedback.
We would also like to formally recognize and thank our federal compliance co-lead, Maria Vasilieva, for all of the assistance that she has provided. Wendy Weeks for keeping all of the criterion groups on track with all the HLC timelines. Isaac Abbs for overseeing the creation of several brand new APs needed for data regulations. David Parker for leading the complaint task force. The board chair for attending numerous town hall sessions, and Chancellor Duran Serta, Provost Tees, and Dr. Vanessa Ariano for championing many of the initiatives to create cross-collaboration between the divisions in our college. At this time, we will open it up for questions.
You guys rock. That's all I got to say. The very first one, you were asking for evidence and everything you did, we appreciate greatly. We all received an email, everybody, right, about the assurance argument up there, and there's little links that you can, send, I guess it's Gail Bell comments. It's a long document, so I'm going to say everybody go home and read 1 page a day, and we'll get through it in the next couple of weeks. And then you guys will have all of our comments too. Thank you so much. And then our last administrative report is the All-Employee Representative Council with Aubrey Conover and Michaela Hayes.
Good evening, members of the board, Chancellor, colleagues, and guests. Thank you for having us to give you our semi-annual update on AARC. We're going to go over a couple of the different policies that we've been working on, talk a little bit about class and comp and our role there. We sent you a much more detailed report so you can dive in and ask us any questions you might have. Before we get going, though, we wanted to chat just briefly about our role. There were some questions at the last meeting about where the employee groups interact with different things that go on in the college. And so just briefly, most of the issues that come to us are either coming from employees or departments. Something hasn't gone right, they're struggling with something around policy, and they need some help. And so our role is different in a couple different ways. It could be just clarifying the policy with that employer or department and saying, like, this is what the intent was. If it wasn't applied this way, here are some avenues that you can approach to fix the challenge that you're facing. Or it could be that the policy needs to be updated. It's not clear, it's not working, and that's where we really dive in with some of our employee groups, with members from the departments that oversee these different policies, get into the weeds and try and make it more functional. Our goal with every policy is to ensure that every employee is treated equally, that they clearly understand their rights and responsibilities they have within policy, and that they can turn to policy if there is a challenge that they're facing, and that they know will be there to support them in the work that they're doing day to day. So I'm going to turn it over to Michaela, who's going to look at the wide range of things we tackled over the last couple months.
So you were given in your packet, I think there's 3 pages of policies. I just want to be clear, all of these went out for 21-day comment all at once with this semester and have either been posted or are being being revised to be posted. So this is a snapshot of the work. There was actually in our resolution team tracker, there's 60 different resolution team lines, and only 15 are active right now. With 4 of those are ongoing groups. So there's only 11 open, which is Awesome. I'm so excited. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight is we had our adjunct faculty come forward and share with us that when their course contracts are canceled, they feel like they've lost that opportunity. They may have done some work, put some thought investment, built syllabi and things, and then they don't have the contract and they're not compensated. So we worked with, the adjunct faculty worked with Kate Schmidt and Dave B, and we're able to come up with a way to compensate those adjunct faculty to honor the work that they did. I want to be clear that we, as in full-time faculty and adjunct faculty, advocated that it wasn't going to be based on proof of the work, but it was the fact that they're losing the contract and the thought work would have been there. So there's a time period that we are assuming that they would have had to be doing things to prepare for that class. So if it's within a 10-day phase before the class were to start and they lose that contract, either because a full-time faculty needs it for their regular load or the class doesn't have the enrollment, that they are going to receive $150 in compensation because we know they have been working. There was an expectation of work within that time period and we're giving them that money. So I just wanted to be clear that that was what the agreement was. One of the main ways that we advocate for compensation is through policy language and discussions. So the faculty compensation policy was a huge discussion for us, and this is the full-time faculty and how we work with finance in order to ensure that we have compensation movement within the salary schedule, that it is fair, equitable, and that everybody is treated the same. So it is, this is one of the main things I wanted to share, is how we actually advocate for raises within the All-Employee Representative Council. We advocate for the policy that determines how we will get a raise given the board's decision within budget. And so we give our priorities of what we would like to do. You know, top priority, give everybody a step. Next priority, lift the cap as much as possible. But we're not actually asking for specific dollar amounts. What we're asking for is that should we be given this amount of money, here is how we would like to see that spent within our area so that we can be given these things in an equitable manner throughout the group. So we really revised that policy to reflect the class and comp study because it is different. Similarly, we've had a lot of conversation around the staff policies. We were able to clarify a few different staff salary compensation policies, and we are almost ready to send out the staff movement policy for probably another round of 21-day comment, because how they are placed on the schedule is different than faculty, and we need to make it clearer for everybody to understand how they're moved. So we have been working quite closely with Dave B, and Tina has been awesome working with us to clarify how things are moved. What if this, what if that, how does that work? How does policy explain all of this? And really trying to make sure that staff understand how they're placed within that. Okay. You can see there's a ton of other policies that we've worked on. There's also policies that aren't handbook policies that are substantially related to working conditions and wages. So these are things like BP 1.25 that you all know well. There was also a remote work standard operating procedure that AERC was heavily involved in, and it does have impacts on some policies like work week and how that's calculated, but it's not actually a handbook policy, and we worked with HR and other areas of the college to ensure equity within that application, and we helped with trainings throughout the college. Okay, I think that might be it. We actually have a page within our tracker for all of the APs and BPs as well that have to do with wages and working conditions, and whether we are a main stakeholder that needs to be addressed to make sure that we are involved in having a say in changes, or whether we are a stakeholder group that just needs to be informed so we can ensure our handbook policies reflect any changes that other groups might make. So we have kind of a leveled stakeholder list that anybody can refer to at any time. So with that, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just any questions at all that we can answer? I know there's a lot of them in there.
Go for it.
I have to say something. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I should say that, but anyway. Please just make sure you understand and you keep in mind that it is really the students and our constituents that we all work for and serve. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I just want to share one of our big, I don't know what word I'm looking for right now. Themes, mottos, I don't know. It's late. I need to eat dinner. There's a word that goes with what I'm about to say. You'll figure it out and tell me. Is that employee working conditions or student learning conditions? So if employees are stressed out about whether or not they're going to be able to eat, or if they have to take on a bunch of overloads because they need to make ends meet for their family, they're not going to have as much time to spend with their students. So everything we do in making sure that there's equitable compensation and that making sure that staff and faculty know that they have somebody they can go to who's looking out for their rights, that they're treated the same as the rest of their colleagues throughout the college, that takes the stress off of them to know that they can just do their work and know that the college is taking care of them, and they can then turn around and take care of students. So all of this seems very employee focused, but it has big effects on the ability of our staff and faculty and administrators even to go ahead and do their work. So.
Thank you. That's very good.
Not that all faculty are mamas, but that old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I think that applies to faculty and the people that support faculty doing their job. So thank you both for everything that you do in AERC. We really appreciate it because we know it's a lot of work. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. I forgot one big one. I'm so sorry. We were also involved in the faculty leadership redesign model. I don't know what role I played on it, but I know I was involved in it, and I think it was because of AERC. It might just be because I was math and I volunteered. But it was another big policy to make sure that department heads and faculty leadership were paid equitably for the work that they were putting in for the college, and that is being recruited for right now and going into effect shortly. So that was a huge project. And yeah, we were happy to have it move forward so we can focus on other things too. So, okay. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to the reports by representatives to the board. And Rebecca Ursul was here for the student report. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairperson, board members, Chancellor, Pima faculty, and guests. We, the Student Senate, are thrilled to announce that Artina Martinez has been selected as the Multicultural Convocation Speaker, and we believe that her insights and perspective promise to enrich this significant event. Progress continues on the bike path project with the recent developments discussed in a meeting with our West Campus Vice President, and so efforts are underway to involve more students and raise awareness crucial for securing necessary resources, and the current bike path line revisions show promise and may be integrated into the larger project. Cooperation from the PCC in signing right-of-way rights to the city remains vital for the project's success. But since we are coming to the end of our cohort, Student Senate's cohort, we are going to hand over this project to the next cohort because our term of service is ending this week on Friday. I would like to thank the board members for their unwavering support throughout our journey with the Student Senate cohort. Your guidance and encouragement have been instrumental in our endeavors. I am particularly grateful to the campus vice presidents who have been consistently attended our town hall meetings, providing us with invaluable support and motivation. Thank you so much for encouraging us. As a first-generation student, this year has been an incredible experience for me. While in Uganda, I served as a student and a youth leader, but the dynamics here have been enriching in new ways. I extend my thanks to God, my parents, my siblings, family, friends, and all of you for your continuous encouragement. On behalf of the Student Senate, I would like to thank Student Life for their steadfast support in our initiatives and for amplifying our voices. I am filled with happiness to share that I will be completing my undergraduate program in communication this fall. Thank you for the opportunities through Pima. Many students like me are achieving and excelling because we are blessed with dedicated board members, leaders, and faculty who care about students' academic excellence. And we also have a dedicated team of police to ensure security while at campus. I would like to urge everyone who is supporting Pima Community College to continue supporting this college financially and advocating for its mission, because your contribution not only enables the students to thrive, but also empower students from different backgrounds to achieve their academic and personal goals. Let us support and ensure that Pima Community College remains a beacon for opportunity and excellence for all. Thank you all for your support, encouragement, and belief in the potential of Pima Community College students. This marks our final board report for the 2023-2024 cohorts. We are immensely grateful for the opportunities provided to us. This has been the best experience for me. I really liked providing reports for the students and advocating for my fellow students. I believe that when I go to a 4-year university, I will continue advocating. Thank you so much.
Rebecca, are you walking through the graduation ceremonies on Wednesday?
No, I'll be graduating, I think, in May next year, because I'm completing my classes this year in the fall.
Okay. Remind us when you get close to graduation, because we'd love to be there and celebrate with you if we can, and if we can't, we'll have you in our hearts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next report is from Rita Lennon from Faculty Senate. I think she might be online.
I am. Thank you, Terriel.
Thank you.
Members of the board, Chancellor Duran-Serta, Pima family, and esteemed guests, thank you so much for having me today. At this point, I realize you've been listening to a lot of wonderful things that our Pima team have been doing for students in our community. I promise to keep it short. However, I did want to mention real quick, Miss Marcy Euler, my husband is a Grizz. So I'll try not to hold it against you that you're a Bobcat, but I wanted to let you know that my kids were both born in Missoula, Montana, so it's so great to see someone else from Montana. Anyway, moving on to my report tonight. On behalf of the Faculty Senate and officers, I would like to thank you for your dedication in improving shared governance this year. Invitation to the board retreat was appreciated, and taking an interest in our concerns by attending Senate meetings and various institutional events such as the Futures Conference, HLC town halls, and strategic planning sessions indicate the shift we all knew we needed but hadn't been heard yet before. Also, your willingness to attend events and celebrations such as graduation and the NC3 signing day also shows faculty that you care about our community and our students too. My apologies for missing tonight's meeting, and I look forward to the fall semester along with you. Thank you so much. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Rita, and happy Faculty Appreciation Week.
Thank you.
Our next report is a staff report from Donnie Greiner.
All right, good evening, Interim Chancellor, Governing Board, and guests. I will also keep my report short. To update you on what we've been doing in Staff Council, we've advertised, encouraged, and recruited volunteers to create an elections committee and a bylaws committee. These committees play a crucial role in shaping the governance structure of Staff Council and overseeing the election process. Active participation in these committees will not only help Staff Council to remain transparent and fair, but will also contribute to our overall success with initiatives. The Elections Committee and Bylaws Committee meet regularly to improve systems for the elections process and review Staff Council bylaws. And that is my update.
Thank you very much. Our next report, Administrator Report with James Craig.
Thank you, Board Chair, distinguished Board, Chancellor, PCC, family, and friends. The administration and everyone in the college is anxiously awaiting graduation, where we celebrate our students' graduation and their academic success and their preparation to go on with their careers. We also have so many events going on right now with completion events for specific programs and a number of awards and award ceremonies that are happening across the college. We're honored to recognize Megan Lynch, who's a nursing faculty. She was selected as the recipient of the 2024 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Award. She's being honored for the curriculum she developed with a focus on mental health and awareness, mindful techniques, and coping skills for nursing students. This has been instrumental in promoting inclusion and closing equity gaps. We're also celebrating a number of financial awards that the COE of Health Professions has gained, and this is going to help tremendously help finish the Center of Excellence for Health Professions with equipment and furnishings that are desperately needed. They also have created 2 new partnerships with Northwest Medical Center and Tucson Medical Center for Grow Your Own program to expand capacity in the LPN and medical assistant program. We're excited to celebrate our business students who competed in the Arizona Community College Excellence Case Competition. This is sponsored by Eller College and is a very fierce competition with 12 teams that competed across the state for only three places, first, second, and third. Happy to report that 2 of our Pima teams won first place and third place in this competition. So we're very excited about that, and we thank the Chancellor and the Provost and the Vice Provost for showing up at the award ceremony for them. They were very thrilled to see everybody. We also had a wonderful award ceremony for student life and student affairs leadership. The report shows dozens of awards and wonderful recognition for students and student leaders that were recognized there, including our own Rebecca, who's obviously with us today and part of the Student Senate. And finally, we had a great event with the NC3 National Signing Day. Over 750 students registered for this event and got on stage and really made a recommitment to their academic career, to their career choice, and to their future success. So it was a great event, and we were so happy and thrilled to see how excited students and everybody else got about their future. It means a lot when they stand up there in front of hundreds of their peers in the entire college, and they sign a letter of intent, and then they put on a Pima hat, and they say, "I'm here, I'm committed." Thank you, that ends my report.
Thank you, Jim. And our last report to the board is by adjunct faculty Sean Mendoza.
Good evening, Chairwoman Rao, Interim Chancellor Duran Cerda, members of the board, and honored guests. Since my last report to the board, the adjunct faculty have had 2 meetings and met with members of administration to discuss marketing and updates of the strategic plan. Last month, we met with Phil Burdick, the Vice Chancellor of External Relations, to discuss marketing and how adjunct faculty can help with recruitment. We discovered student testimonials play a large role in attracting new students to our institution. As a result, adjunct faculty were encouraged to reach out to alumni willing to share their life-changing stories in an effort to recruit more students. It was also suggested that some of my colleagues may be able to provide similar examples when their academic journey started with Pima. They obtained a significant academic and/or notable life achievement and then returned to Pima to serve our students as a faculty member. Thank you, Vice Chancellor Burdick, for that important insight. This month, a member of Dr. Richmond's team, Mr. Joseph Mays, provided us with an update for the college's strategic plan. I want to thank Dr. Richmond and her team for extending a personal invitation for feedback and utilizing options that allow for synchronous and asynchronous communication, often leveraged by our adjunct faculty. Thank you, Dr. Richmond, for your work and that of your team. I'm also sorry to report that Zoe Shopik, our AERC representative, will not be returning in the fall. Although she wasn't with the AERC team for very long, I want to thank her for her time and service on this very important council. Moving forward, a number of adjunct faculty have answered the call to service, and we hope to begin voting on a replacement in the next few days. I look forward to providing you with the name of the new adjunct faculty representative to the ARC in the fall. And lastly, the biggest challenge that continues to be at the forefront of adjunct faculty is compensation. With the increased cost of living and the rise of inflation, it can be challenging for our employee group to meet our day-to-day expenses. As a result, some have chosen to leave our institution for more compensation or greater opportunities for advancement elsewhere. With each departure, the college loses a valuable resource once focused on student success and retention. It's my hope that the board consider every option and opportunity towards attracting and retaining our excellent adjunct faculty. Thank you for your continued support. This ends my report.
Thank you, Sean, and happy Faculty Appreciation Week to you also and all of yours. We really appreciate you greatly. Our next report is the Interim Chancellor report.
Thank you, Board Chair Rial. Good evening, everyone, and to those of you joining us virtually. This is our last meeting before the commencement ceremony, which is next week, and it's always an exciting time, and I know I'll be seeing a lot of you there. And tomorrow night, we have our multicultural convocation event at the West Campus. And this is, I don't think we had it last year, but we brought it back, and we're very excited, and we'll be presenting our diversity awards there. It's a time for family and students to celebrate who they are and their accomplishments. It's a season of gratitude. It's actually my favorite part of the year, where we have all of these celebrations and recognitions for our students and their accomplishments, but they wouldn't be where they are now if it weren't for all of you, for our faculty, our staff, our administrators as well, and for the families and their friends, their support to get them through where they are to now. Like Rebecca, we're very excited for you, Rebecca. And happy Faculty Appreciation Week, and thank you, Board Chair and the entire board, for sending that message of gratitude to all of our faculty who deserve it very much so. And this is a hard time right now with all the grading going on, but they're making the time to be here and to be continuing their teaching excellence with our students. So thank you for that. It's also Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Month, and we have several events taking place around the college to celebrate this month. Some congratulations to a few folks. First of all, I'd like to congratulate David Arellano and the Student Affairs team. We talked about the Fall Forward Fall Registration event that was held on April 20th at the downtown campus. I believe there were approximately 111 students that were served that day. So it's really encouraging. This is 4 months before classes start for the fall, and they were excited to be there and to get the help and the guidance through our advisors, also our financial aid staff, student life, access and disability resources, accounts receivable, external relations, high school outreach, adult basic ed was there, library and the testing center. We also had our external partners such as Catholic University, Pima County One Stop, and the University of Arizona. So thank you to David and to the Student Affairs and leadership team. I'd also like to congratulate our Dean of Sciences, Emily Halverson-Otts, who last week went through her graduation ceremony at Ferris State University, and during her hooding, she was recognized with the Distinguished Scholar Practitioner Award, and this was selected by her faculty. So we want to congratulate Emily Halverson-Otts. I'd also like to congratulate Dr. Nick Richmond for having been voted, and this is like a worldwide vote, as one of the top 10 data and analytics professional award winner. So we're very happy for this wonderful achievement, and she's received this many years in a row. And finally, as a congratulations to our acting provost, Dr. Jeff Teese, for being selected as part of the Aspen Rising Presidential Fellows, which is a very prestigious fellowship program. And just so you know that we've had a Pima College representative ever since its inception, and that was 7 years ago. So good luck to you, Jeff. I think you'll enjoy the experience. There are several events that I attended. I won't list them all because many of you have already shared those. For example, the HLC conference, the Sun Corridor Site Selector event, Signing Day, which was a huge success. But we also had a recommitment with the Mexican consulate and with Alma Hubeta, who serves as at the education window, serves as a liaison from the Mexican consulate to educational entities such as primarily Pima Community College. So we're excited that you're going to be continuing with that, Alma. We had also last month an all trustees and AC4 meetings in Phoenix. That's also where we had the governor's press conference on the workforce scholarship program that's on the agenda tonight. Then we'll be talking a little bit more. But it was a great meeting where we had all of the Arizona Community College's trustees and presidents and chancellors there to learn more about AI and other pieces that are trends in higher education. Recently, we had the Arizona Transfer Summit in the Phoenix area. Several of our Pima colleagues were there. I was happy to be presenting along with a colleague from Cochise College, Abe Villarreal, who's the dean at the Douglas campus, and we presented on state-based HSI consortiums, models for developing communities of practice, which went very well. Also, Jim talked about the case competition and the business students we celebrated. That was an exciting moment. Took a selfie with all the students there. And I'm almost done with my chats with the interim chancellor. This week I visited M&S and had a meeting with them and talked about what's going well, what we can improve upon, and any questions. And it was a fabulous the room was full, and I really appreciated the insights and suggestions that the M&S folks had. And then my last one will be at the district office coming up soon. And finally, I'd like to thank the board for the board retreat that was held, was it last week? Yes, last week. And to David Borofsky, who's here, the executive director for AC4, and Eddie Jenna from Maricopa, who co-facilitated the event. I think we've made a lot of progress with shared governance, and it was just amazing. And thank all of you who participated as part of that. So thank you, happy graduation, and also happy Mother's Day to those who are mothers. Feliz Dia de las Madres. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Number 3, information items. Definitely take a look at those. I just want to point out the last one, 3.8, achieve 60 Pima County in the strategic plan update. Dr. Nick Richmond, Joseph Mace, and Brian Stewart, I can't remember all of the people, but they put on a really good presentation. And the next one, I think, Brian, is it tomorrow? For the strategic plan? Thank you.
Absolutely, members of the board. So tomorrow we have a meeting with students to go over, so there's a plan tomorrow for the big broad one for anybody for the community to do from 9 to 10 o'clock. And then there's one for students only, meeting with Senate on Friday. And then there's another one we are opening next week that is for the broad community. Employees are welcome as well, but particularly focusing on students and the community to hear the plan as well.
Thank you for doing all of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that we would like to have pulled?
Madam Chair, I'd like to request that item 4.5 be removed from the consent agenda so it can be dealt with separately.
Any other items? Okay, may I have a motion to pass the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
And a second? Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving down to the action items, 5.1, the fiscal year 20. Do you want to do yours first? Okay. 4.5, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the governing board authorize the interim chancellor or designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Office of the Arizona Governor to make available to Pima College funds the governor received from the U.S. Department of Education to support pandemic and economic recovery efforts expected in an amount to up to $900,000, and to execute amendments necessary to further define the permissible uses of the funds and to meet any applicable requirements for use of the funds.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Maria. Now I'm going to ask David Borofsky if you wouldn't mind coming down and just giving us a quick update on where we are. We know that the governor presented that money to us in theory, but we'd like to hear what's happening now.
It's still in theory. No, just kidding. Madam Chair, members of the board, Interim Chancellor Dolores, where we are now is we're having a meeting a week from Tuesday on the 14th with the governor's office, grants office, to put together the proposal with what the grants office sent out in the IGA to all the presidents and the chancellors. They don't quite mesh. There are things in the proposal that ended up in the IGA, and there are things in the proposal that did not end up in the IGA, and there are things in the IGA that weren't in the proposal. So we've been gathering questions from all of the colleges. I've been working with Erin Hart from the governor's office, her higher ed policy advisor, and we will get it all straightened out a week from Tuesday. I would advise you that your interim chancellor's name is on the IGA, and I've encouraged all the boards to encourage their leader to sign that IGA and not give it to someone else, no offense to anybody in the room, to sign, because that's the way the governor would like it. And I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
Thank you.
I do have a.
Oh, wait.
Is all nine, I mean, once you get all the paperwork signed, like once we have the $900,000, is that all immediately available for scholarships, or is it spread out over a period of years, or is there some endowment portion of it, or how does it work?
Great question. It is immediate. It is $900,000. It's not up to. It is $900,000. It's backdated to January 1st. At least that's the way the IGA reads at the moment. And it has to be spent, not encumbered, by September 30th. Of this year. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
So, you know, if I'm sure I can help anybody spend that money. If you have a department and you want to know how to do it, just show me your wish book and I can show you how I shop. It would be really great if we could use this money for student success and, you know, tuition, all of those kind of things. It's for workforce development primarily. And so I know we have students who are in need, so let's get it done and let's spend that money. You know, if we have a deadline, let's try to get it done. If there's no more discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to section 5.1. This is the fiscal year 2025 employee salary and wages. Do I hear a motion? I'll move to accept this budget for, it includes removing the caps for regular employees, placing regular staff employees at the greater of their years of experience targets on the salary scale, or providing a minimum compensation. It provides for an increase for regular faculty salaries, and it increases the base adjunct faculty rates, both in Tier 1 and Tier 2.
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to say thank you to Dr. David B. and AERC for making this happen. This was a really important priority of the governing board to make sure that we compensate our employees in a way that shows that we value them, and I really appreciate all of your work to get this done, so thank you. Okay, not hearing any more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to our second item, the capital project plan for the fiscal year 2025.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve, the governing board approve $46.5 million in capital projects and estimated life cycle needs for fiscal year 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question, actually. I just noticed it now, so forgive me for not submitting it earlier, but in the ongoing and deferred maintenance and equipment replacement funds, it says that the funding source for IT academic technology is tech fee, and I thought we just got rid of the tech fee, so is there still more left that we're using, or is that allocated in a different way?
Good evening, Chairperson Real, members of the board, Chancellor Duran-Cerda, colleagues and guests. It's an error. It's because the timing of when the database was put together, and I saw it right before you did. I'm like, no, it'll be coming out of essentially the general fund now because of the fee is no longer. So hopefully that clears that up.
Thank you.
No. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And 5.3, the publication of fiscal year 2025 proposed budget in preparation for the June 2024 public hearing and special board meeting to adopt the budget and set property tax rates and levies.
Move second.
So you're moving to approve this proposal. Okay. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
I want to make sure that I understand this correctly. We're just approving the publication and scheduling of the hearing?
Yes, that's correct. What you're approving is the format of the budget based on the parameters that we've already talked about so that we can publish it both with the truth and taxation statement and the budgetary statements in the state forms so that it can be reviewed by the taxpayers.
And we are not approving a tax increase?
So the proposal has a tax increase in it, but the actual approval, both of the budget, adoption of the budget, and the actual approval of the tax levy increase will happen in June.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Are there any requests for future agenda items?
Chair, I would like to request an assessment or a review on the energy management project. I'd like to know how much has been spent, the completion, and if any savings that have been given to us.
Okay, thank you, Maria. I think that our June meeting might be full because we have all of these things that we have to do for the taxes. Would you mind if we had it in our first meeting in August or September, our next board meeting? Because I think our meeting is already going to be really full. If you remember that last time we did it, it was a full, I mean, I think this is a long meeting, but it was like this.
I'll accept that.
Okay, and obviously, though, if you can get the information to us in advance, that would be great, so we can look through it, but we won't talk about it until our August board meeting. Okay, thank you. Any other items? Okay, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for being here.